Okay, so in the first part of this module, I'm going to show you my step-by-step process for setting up a Facebook ad campaign. So what I recommend doing is using a separate ad set for each individual ad that you're creating. And the reason that I say that is because when you put multiple ads in a single ad set, Facebook has an algorithm that quickly determines which ad is performing best, and once it does that, it will stop serving the other ads as much. So this happens fairly early in a campaign, and a lot of people see this as a problem, and I tend to agree, because what happens is Facebook determines the winner or the winning ad and starts to reduce the frequency in which it serves the other ads in the ad set a bit too early on to really have enough data to determine whether that ad really is the best performer. So to avoid that, what we do is we create a separate ad set for each individual ad and run the campaign that way. And that allows you to switch off the ads that aren't effective just by going on and switching off the individual ad sets. So there's no real disadvantage to doing it. And as I'll show you later on, using the Power Editor, it's not a time-consuming process to set it up either. So now let's look at how your campaign structure is going to look at the end of this. We can see at the top we've got our campaign. Underneath we've got our 4 different ad sets, and under each ad set we've got a single ad. So it's fairly simple, but it's just nice to see it visually how this is going to be set up before we go and do it. Next up, just want to talk about how we do this in the Power Editor. There's basically 3 steps. First of all, we just set up the campaign as we saw earlier in the course. We set up the first ad set and ad as well. And then what we do is we just use the Power Editor's duplicate function to duplicate that first ad set that we've set up. And what that'll do, it'll duplicate the ad that you've created within that ad set as well. So you'll have the first ad set that you went up and did all the targeting options in, then you'll duplicate it, you'll have a second one ready to go. You don't even have to change the targeting settings on that duplicate ad set. All you need to do then is go into the ad under your new ad set and change the image and text and whatever you need to do. So you'll end up with 2 ad sets, both targeted the same, and you'll have different ads under each one so you can test which one performs the best. Now we're going to head over to the Power Editor and I'm going to show you exactly how I do this. Alright, we're back in the Power Editor once again, and now I'm going to show you how to set up a campaign from start to finish using the structure that we just talked about. So first of all, let's add a campaign. Let's call it and we'll do an app install campaign. So that's just using the structure that we mentioned before, name, app name, and then goal. Choose app installs, and we'll create that campaign. Now let's create our first ad set. Straight away, it's going to use our campaign that we just created. And now we're going to use a similar structure to before. So let's go May 1 to 20. Let's set this particular ad set up. Let's say $5 a day for this one. And let's say we're going to show it to both males and females. Interested in fitness. And we will say that we'll run this as an OCPM campaign and create that ad set. Now what we'd go and do from here is we'd select our app. I'll just select this one for an example again. We'll set our daily budget. Now we'll leave this one as an ongoing ad set. We'll set up our targeting. Add some countries. Again, this is all just for the example. So the work that you did in Module 1 in defining your audience and Module 2 as far as targeting is concerned, that's what you'll actually be setting up here. So you're not necessarily copying the options that I'm selecting here as far as targeting and demographics and all that sort of stuff are concerned. This is just showing you how I'd set up the ad set and ad structure. So here we'll just choose that. We'll say all ages, we'll leave it as all. all demographics, and I think we said interest in fitness. So you've got a massive audience here, but that's okay for the example. Like I said before, if you can get an audience of around 1 million people, that seems to be a good starting point. But it's only through testing that you're going to actually find out what audience size works best for you. Okay, now checking off the usual things, we'll leave the mobile newsfeed and the audience network. If you've got an app that's only compatible with iPads or iPhones, then you would deselect the others, but we'll just assume that this example app is compatible with iPads, iPods, and iPhones. Again, if your app is only compatible with a particular operating system version and upwards, then you would choose the minimum version here. So let's just say version 6 here. And if your app is over 100 megabytes in size and it's an iOS app, then make sure you tick the only connected to Wi-Fi option as well. Optimization and pricing. I think pay per impression is probably the best option for you to start with, and that's what I always recommend starting with. And pricing, we're going to leave that at get the most app installs at the best price. So we've created our campaign, and now this is our first ad set that's been set up. Let's go and create our first ad. So just like what we saw before, it's pre-populated our campaign and our ad set, and when we're setting up the ad, we can call it something like ad image 1 and then text 1. And what that's saying is we're using the first image that we've created and the first set of copy or text that we've created for the ad. Because remember, we're going to create multiple ads, each with a different image and some with different text as well, so that we can test a bunch of different ads and see which one performs the best. So let's create our first one. Okay, now what you would do here is you would choose your Facebook page that you've set up for your app, and then you would go ahead and create everything else. Yeah, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set up the actual ad itself. We're going to select the app page. Remember, we need an app page for every app that we're going to advertise on Facebook. So we'd select the app page. It automatically pulls in some data there for your app. We'd enter the text that we've come up with, the headline and the text. So headline might be "Get the greatest game ever." Again, I'm just putting anything in here for the sake of example. We covered in earlier modules how to create this great text and headline. So yeah, go ahead and review that module and come up with something that's actually going to be effective for your audience. You can choose our install button. Just choose play game. And we'll select our image. So automatically it's pulled in an image for this particular app from the app's Facebook page, but you'll be uploading your image at the recommended size, the 1200 by 628 pixels. Upload your image, and then you're good to go. Now what we've done is we've created our first campaign ad set, and in that ad set we've got a single ad. Now what we said before, remember, was we're going to have one ad set for every one ad that we've got. So instead of going through and doing that whole process again of putting in all our targeting options and all that sort of stuff just to allow us to test multiple ads, what we need to do is, because we're using the Power Editor, we can just choose our ad set and duplicate it. It asks which campaign we want to create the new ad set under, and it's going to be the same campaign. And there we go, we've got a duplicate. They just add a 1 to the end. Now, we just want to change that, and what we'll do is we'll differentiate it by saying add to. Okay, and we'll change the first one, and we're going to call this one add 1. Okay, and if we look at what's happened when we've created the second ad set, it's actually duplicated the ad as well. So you can see here that it's duplicated the ad. it's telling us that this new ad is under this ad set name. Now all we need to do is modify this ad to be our second ad. So you will have created multiple images, multiple blocks of text. We've set up the first one. Now what we want to do is add our second image to this ad. So first we'll start by changing the name. And we'll assume that you're going to use the same text as you did in ad 1. We're just going to have a different image in this ad to test. And what we do here is you'd select your image, you'd upload the different image, and then what you'd have is add image 1, text 1, and then add image 2, so this second ad with a different image and the same text. And you've got two different ad sets. And then again, all we do again, we just duplicate this ad set. Rename it for our third ad. Head across to our ads. Again, it's duplicated the ad. You can see we've got our new ad here, and we'll say add image 3. And then again, all we need to change is upload our third image that we created, and we're done. What we've got is we've got 3 ad sets, each with a single ad under each one, and each ad having a different image but the same text. And so what this allows us to do is run our campaign, and we can have our 3 different ad sets. We can leave it for a few days, and then we can see which ad performs the best out of those 3. And once we know that, once we know which image performs best, we can go and change them to some new text. So we can find the image that's performing best, and then we can duplicate that with the same image and use different text next time, and then find which combination of image plus text works better as well. So as you can see, it's all about a process of constant refinement, and it's important to always leave these changes running for a few days at least, especially with a budget of $5 to $10 a day, because you need to serve a certain number of impressions before you collect enough data to make an informed decision on which one's better. So now it's time to hit the upload button in the Power Editor, upload your campaign to Facebook, and get it running. So what you're going to do is let your campaign run for a few days, maybe even a week or 2, and the idea is what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our custom audience populated. So what we want to do is get at least a couple of hundred users in our custom audience, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create a lookalike, and that's when things get really powerful. So I'll see you in the next video where we'll look at exactly how we do that.